What's up YouTube? I'm Brandon from Tattooing 101, and make sure you like and subscribe down below so you can keep up to date on all the new content we make each week. Today I'm going to go over how to draw traditional style flash. This is a big part of your career you're going to want to learn how to do before jumping into tattooing, because it's going to teach you how to be able to make clean line work with your tattoo flash and also be able to shade it in and know where all of the shading needs to go on the tattoos that you make in the future. So this is definitely the first starting point if you are first starting out that you need to learn. So let's get into it. Okay, so when you first start tattooing, there's a couple different things you need to understand. Whenever you first start drawing, you've spent your whole life drawing for being able to draw pictures and like scribbling on, your desk at school, things like that. But drawing for tattooing is completely different. So if you're coming from a background that you don't really have much experience drawing for tattooing, traditional is the way to go. You could find stuff on Google exactly like this, be able to practice drawing things like this. I wouldn't recommend copying them, like just drawing over and tracing them and tattooing it that way. You want to learn how to draw. That way, if a client comes in and wants custom things, you'll be able to do that. You don't want to be an artist that just kind of copies off everyone else's designs, because it's not going to really help you grow. So finding designs like this online and being able to introduce your own style with them is going to help you out a ton. So what I mean by that is focusing on traditional. I did make another video specifically on how to draw for traditional style tattoos. This one I'm going to go a little bit more in depth and teach you how to set up different things besides just roses. So if you are further along your journey and you've been drawing for tattooing, I'll make another video talking to you exactly how to draw like neo-traditional and things like that. The biggest thing whenever you're drawing neo-traditional is incorporating flow. The reason I tell everyone to start out with traditional designs is because you don't necessarily have to worry about flow, because they're kind of stuck on the skin like stickers, not incorporating flowing around the muscles or flowing around a certain part of the body. They're supposed to look this way. Anytime you start drawing, you're going to think about it as shapes. So what I mean by that is whenever you're drawing, you're going to work in steps. Say we're going to draw this eagle right here. We're going to work on our first piece of paper, get out our pencil or our sketch if you're working digital, and what we're going to do is just make shapes. So obviously this is the shape of the eagle. You have your tail right here, your one leg right here, other leg right here, and then right about here is where the head is, and you can see that these two line up right like this. So right like this, these line up like this. So you could work with ovals, circles, and lines to get everything where you want them to be. And then the back comes like this and arcs down like this, and then you have two wings, one here and one that comes up here, and you could make a line for wherever the wings end up. So looking at this, you have no idea what this is. If you showed someone this, they'd be like, what is that? I don't want you to tattoo me because that makes no sense at all. But coming from an artist, if you've practiced drawing this way, you know exactly what everything means. Just like you could see right here is this area, and then so on and so forth with everything else. These lines are going to help out a ton because they're going to show us exactly where we want everything to stop. Then from there, we go on to our next layer, which is always blue. So if you're working with pencil and paper, you'll put it on the light box and go on to a different layer completely. If digital, then you're just going to go to a different layer like this. This one, we're going to go through and map out where everything really needs to go. So this is our first leg right here, second leg right here, and we know that the claws come out like this and like this, and the beak's going to be at the edge of this point right here. And we're just being really sloppy with this. We don't want everything to be perfect. We're just going through and mapping out where everything needs to go and following all the shapes that we already pre-established, so we know pretty much the basis of where everything's going without having to guess, because the guesswork of everything is what's going to throw you off completely when it comes to like creating the design. And then we can see that our wing's right here, and going with the shape of the wing like this. This one comes up like this, following the shape, and we know that both the tips end at the same place. What this is going to do is help you be able to draw for the tattoos that you're doing and not having to copy anyone's stuff. So doing it this way every single time is going to benefit you a ton, because you'll know exactly how to draw any design just by looking at the shapes. Now we can get rid of this first layer. I always do 2 layers with the blue just because I like to be really loose and kind of do whatever I want with the first blue layer, and then I'll go in and really map out everything almost exactly how it's going to be in the final design through this one. So we'll go to a different layer. This is going to be our last layer to where we're kind of loose with everything, but we're going to go in and really map out exactly where everything is going to go, like all the details and the feathers and everything. And going through these steps, you shouldn't really be able to tell that it's a great design until you're completely done. You don't want to focus on doing everything perfect, because you're going to lose kind of like the fluent motion of what we're doing with these different steps. And also, this is pretty much how I draw for every design that I'm doing. You know, if I'm doing neo-traditional, traditional, no matter what I'm doing, I'm going to start out with all of these shapes exactly like I'm showing you now, because that helps me build up knowing exactly where I need to put everything, especially if you're working with animals, to where if you get one part off, it looks completely messed up. So this is something that'll definitely benefit you if you learn how to draw this way. Okay, now we go to our last step. This is where we're completing our design, and everything will be perfect by the time we're done with this one. This will be the final stage of our drawing. So we're going to get rid of this layer, turn the opacity down here, and go through everything. This will be what we really print off to create our stencil. Switch over to our steady inker. Just go through and follow what you've already done. As you can see, traditional tattoos are just way easier to draw, but they're very easy to mess up as well. So That's why I always start out with my shapes, so it's very easy to kind of go through. If you do all the steps correctly, it'll be way easier to make a finished, complete tattoo design than trying to just draw everything at once without having those guidelines, because it's going to be almost impossible to go through and do correctly. So now we can get rid of that bottom layer. By the way, one of the biggest issues new artists have when it comes to starting tattooing is having the time to draw. Just putting together one design will take several hours, which in turn gives less time actually learning how to tattoo, which also makes it way harder and longer learning how to tattoo. To help out with that, we've put together a sketchbook with 74 hand-drawn designs that you could print off and start tattooing right away. If you'd like to get a copy, I'll leave a link in the description below.